Now, for a review of what's making the headlines in the papers this morning, let's bring in Arise analyst, Dr. Constance Ikwoku. Good morning, Dr. Constance.
Good morning, Yolanda. Are you good today?
It's Friday, yes.
I know. Are you tired and looking forward to?
I am. I just want to rest.
I know. Waking up so early in the morning every day. Saturday, you just don't want to wake up.
That's right.
Okay, and Charles, good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Constance. It's been a very interesting week, hasn't it?
It has.
Oh yeah, so we're both looking forward to the weekend and whatever it's going to bring along.
Definitely. Good things, I hope.
I hope so too.
Yeah. To look at the papers with us today, we have Dr. Austin Maho. He is a lecturer at the International Institute of Journalism in Abuja. Hello there and welcome to the program. We'll begin with this day. There we have 25% of First Holdco shares went to FG's trustee, not Eltedola. This was contrary to report yesterday. We're learning that the shares were acquired by a trustee on behalf of the federal government, and this trustee was set up by the Attorney General of the Federation with the Central Bank of Nigeria. The shares will remain with the trustee until a decision is reached on what to do with them. A bit of background on this. There have been shareholder infighting and conflict in which former chairman of First Holdco, Oba Otudeko, was charged to court for criminal activities by the Otedola-led management. Under these conditions, other shareholders feared that the bank may not meet the CBN's new capital requirement. So a solution, was hatched or has been hatched, leading to the exit of Otudeka in return for withdrawal of the criminal complaint against him. Another prominent family, the Hassan Odukale, also sold 5% of their shares and exited voluntarily. A lot of boardroom politics. While the intervention by the federal government is a temporary reprieve, the entire conflict raises deeper concerns about governance culture in corporate Nigeria, which risks damaging investor confidence. So as it stands now, all that has transpired would definitely reshape the future ownership and direction of the bank. Dr. Maho.
Yeah, certainly it will. It will reshape the future direction of the bank. And this story is coming about. First of all, I'll say the clarification, is welcome. There was a lot of movement in the share purchase of First Bank of Nigeria at the stock exchange on Wednesday. That's 2 days ago. So it is that led to the speculation, in the financial sector, banking industry, that look, it seems as if a certain interest within the bank is mopping up the shares of First Bank in order to have controlling power over the bank. And we know that there have been two principal gladiators in terms of struggling for control of First Bank of Nigeria, Femi Otedola and Oba Otudeko. But this clarification now put all those speculation at rest. And we do hope that with the federal government intervention, in order for the bank itself to be able to put its house in order to meet CBN's capital requirements, it will put other smaller shareholders of the bank, put their mind at rest, and give the impression to the public out there that everything is in order. So it's a good development, and we do hope that First Bank remains the first. However, we can only talk here as journalists. We hope that when the Daybreak team, Rotus Odiri, who is your financial and banking analyst, come later in the day, we'll be able to do better justice to this topic.
They certainly need that stability. A second story in this day, Tinubu immortalizes Buhari, renames University of Maiduguri after him. That also features as a lead story in Leadership newspaper, if we can pull that up. It leads with the heading, Tinubu renames University of Maiduguri after Buhari. And at the top right-hand corner, we're grateful to those who have forgiven our father. This is Buhari's daughters are speaking. This renaming occurred at the Special Federal Executive Council session for the late president. And of course, more eulogies followed for him. He was called a statesman. He was also called a patriot. Not an ordinary figure. He was said to be a principled man, etc. But let's come back to this renaming. A lot of renaming of public institutions or academic institutions after public figures. The other day, it was University of Abuja renamed after former military head of state, Yakubu Gowon. Crisis, broke out in Oyo State when the governor renamed the Polytechnic Ibadan after Dr. Omololu Olunloyo. And then we also had, during the time of President Goodluck Jonathan, when he tried to rename the University of Lagos after Moshood Abiola, the students said, no way you're going to do that. So it seems like for politicians, this seems to be more like, I don't know, chasing political clout, vanity. There are arguments for and against this. But Dr. Maho, I wonder what your thoughts on this is. They are not just streets or markets. They are academic institutions that have their character and name for a very long time.
Yesterday, if you look at the online media when the story broke, there were a lot of comments on that story. Because I read the story on the handle of this presidential spokesperson. And when I read comments under it, you can find that there were a lot of people who kicked against it and actually felt that, look, why not name it? A 50-year-old institution, University of Maiduguri, it doesn't reflect the personnel of a Muhammadu Buhari. People even naming it after him doesn't reflect his personnel in any way. I'm not speaking for myself, I'm speaking for the opinion out there. And people felt that, well, he should have renamed the Transportation University in Daura, which can be described as one of his legacy, after him, if you wanted to name an institution after him. But to me, when I look at all these controversies, surrounding the naming of, national monument institution after living or dead political leaders, what comes to my mind is, look, there need to be a protocol. We are a nation that is based on the rule of law, on order. There should be an order, a process of naming institutions after individuals, so that the process is transparent and every Nigerian can say, look, this person met this criteria as laid down under the law, under certain protocols. So when you look at it, and you feel that the person has met those criteria, and you name such institution after such, and nobody will raise an eyebrow. But as it is, it lies on the whims and caprices of Mr. President, who even himself, in the last 2 years, about 7 national monuments, have been named after him, of which many feel that the most embarrassing is the naming of the International Conference Center here in Abuja after him. So it is what it is. As a country, I think we should base our decision on order, on law, not on a powerful individual who is occupying the office of Mr. President.
Well, the debate out there goes on. Some see it as gratification of egos, politicians doing their thing, but definitely I think this conversation will not go away immediately. Moving on to Daily Independent. Kachukwu alleges a 20 million bribe to state chairman to hijack ADC. The party's presidential candidate in the 2023 election, Dumebi Kachukwu, has been outspoken about an invasion of the party by the so-called coalition. Now he's alleging that party state chairmen are being offered this amount to resign their positions in order to take over the party. This, he says, indicates the intentions of this group that he described as a political gang, and says they are not honorable. He took aim particularly at Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, accusing him of power grab through proxies in the coalition, saying Atiku's history reflects refusal to accept Southern leadership. In these circumstances, Charles, Kachiku's grudge can be understood. They just pulled the rug from under his feet. I mean, he was the presidential candidate of the party, and now it looks like the party, you know, is slipping away.
First of all, I wonder how, you know, those very powerful interests from the disgruntled APC elements to the disgruntled PDP elements actually were able to find their way into the ADC, you know, adopting it as their own party. And where was Kachiku when these gentlemen were making their way into the party that he had controlled for so long? Did they go in through the back door? Did they go in through the window? But it was until after it became very clear and apparent that he was actually being schemed out of the scheme of affairs that he actually started raising alarm. And he has actually been very outspoken about how the party that he thought was his own had been hijacked by powerful and wealthy individuals. So where is he going to go next with this? This time around, it's allegation that the state chairman have been given money to, you know, hijack the party. Well, unfortunately, Mr. Kachiku, the handwriting is very, very clear on the wall. You just have to find an alternative because you have actually lost the ADC. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So this time around, it seems he has become the opposition leader within the party.
Wow. Wow.
Very interesting. And still on the ADC, let's look at Daily Sun. ADC tackles FG on proposed refinery sale after $18 billion repairs. And as Kogi Governor Bello loses bid for overseas medical trip, the African Democratic Congress, the new bride of the opposition politicians, is raising dust over a planned sale of the nation's refineries, saying an audit of the money spent on them must be done before any transaction with a new buyer. We were told recently that the Port Harcourt and Kaduna refineries were functional after spending billions of dollars, you know, on them. Now, this, I mean, Yolanda, this seems to be a fair ask. Conduct an audit, account for all the money that was spent before closing that chapter, isn't it?
Yes, very much. And I was about to say exactly what you just said. Put politics aside. This is actually a very fair point to bring up. That amount of money that has been used to refurbish and work on all of these, you know, buildings and the different aspects that have been changed over the years. And then all of a sudden to just wake up one day and say that they need to be sold off without proper accountability and explanation. No, more needs to be looked into this. So on the side of ADC, yes, this is a very, very valid point to bring up at this point in time.
Ironically, those who are actually bringing this up were actually part of the processes. First of all, the turnaround maintenance, then the refurbishment, and what have you. The people who are making these allegations and making these accusations, when it was actually happening, they knew what was going on, but they didn't say anything at that time. So you see, yes, of course, very valid point. What they are asking for is legit, but then is the hypocrisy behind it all that is actually extremely annoying.
And to add to that, sorry, you want to say something? Can I come in?
Yes, please.
Yeah, because you try to link the two stories to the ADC. I just wanted to say that, look, it's good we are beginning to see an effective opposition, the FDC, speaking under its name to criticize or lay in on a government policy which a lot of people are wondering where is this coming from. 18 under the APC administration, 18 billion US dollars down the drain. So we need an opposition and we want the ADC to stand up and play that role.
There was that talk about the refineries having old technology and then having to struggle with new technology now. So, I mean, it's a bit complicated and then not complicated again. So if you're spending money, you have to be sure what you're spending it on. So if it means selling them to make sure that a private buyer runs it as a business, you know, then it's not waste of money. Dr. Maho, do you want to comment quickly on ex-Governor Yahaya Bello, who was denied his passport to travel to the UK for medical trip? Just very quick.
He just married a new wife, so he needs to go for a honeymoon.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah,
okay.
he did. Yes. It was all over the social media yesterday.
Wow.
He married the 4th wife.
I wonder.
So he needs his
Wow.
passport to be able to go for honeymoon. And I think under the circumstances, the government should,
Well,
the court holding his passport should give consideration to that.
Well, he said medical treatment, but then, of course, when I last saw him, he was actually looking very healthy, very hale and hearty. I'm not sure there is any condition that he might be wanting to go abroad for that cannot be effectively treated here. But like Dr. Maho said, there are other considerations apart from health matters as well. Maybe emotional health this time around.
That's feel flustered. Okay. Add to the fact that he paid up the school fees of his son, or kids in university here. Okay. Let's move on to New Telegraph. UBA's LEO is Africa's first cross-border payment chat box. LEO is United Bank for Africa's artificial intelligence chatbot that offers customers a seamless and instant way to transfer funds across the continent. It was developed in partnership with the African Export-Import Bank and leverages the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System, PAPS. It gets better. It allows individuals, traders, and corporates to transfer money between African countries in local currencies, not dollars, in local currencies, where the central bank has approved PAPS operations. This supports the broader goals of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. This story is good. Significant development is, it is poised to transform international finance for Africans. I mean, this right here is crucial for continental trade and financial inclusion. You have to give it to a private sector, and anybody can come in here.
Yeah, well done to UBA. And I just want to say that this is a beautiful and wonderful initiative. This is exactly what we need. From all the issues that Africa has been facing recently with all the threats from the West, from tariffs to deportees to all sorts of things, this is just what we need to make us be self-reliant and be able to stand on our own feet. So well done to UBA, and I hope that this is something that will also enhance the way that we do business as Africans in our own currency.
And it was reported recently that they're opening offices in Saudi Arabia, so connecting Africa to global markets. Dr. How quickly?
Yeah, it's a beautiful one. I couldn't be prouder as an African to see, one of the problems we've always had as Africans is because of our inability to trade among ourselves.
That's right.
This process that the United Bank for Africa has started enables that. We need to trade more with ourselves. Africa needs to be more connected because the global community can take us serious. We can't be talking about trade with Europe, trade with America, while we lack that capacity to be able to trade amongst ourselves. So it's a development in the right direction.
All right, the Guardian newspaper this morning, rising youth population may mar national progress according to NPC. The National Population Commission says our future hangs in the balance with over 60% of our population under the age of 30. Depending on what we do, this could bring about development or become a ticking time bomb, it concludes. This is a good reminder that politicians and leaders, rather than chasing clout, need to remove the structural barriers that limit millions of young people in this country. When you analyze the lives of the older generation, like the late Muhammad Buhari that was just buried, Yakubu Gowon, Ibrahim Babangida, and even the generation after them, they had the best that Nigeria had to offer. They had the best. Many people came from very humble backgrounds, from nowhere, and got to the top and reached their potential. So a lot of work to be done here. Anybody can comment on this.
Yeah, certainly a lot of work. If you look at the statistics, from that report, it said that 60% of our population, 60% of our population constitute those that are below the age of 30. That is the active, productive population in our country. And Nigeria has not been able to harness the creative force of this active, educated population to be able to bring about development, because we've not been, human capital development is a major factor when you're talking about economic development. You talk about progressive nations in the world. And this is what the government need to focus on in terms of providing these, active population the requirement, the education, the skill they need. Because they are the ones, when we say our future lies on our youth, that is what we are talking about. Unfortunately, in the Nigerian situation, they are silent, they are neglected, they don't have what it takes, you know, to contribute meaningfully to national development. The dream of everybody, and of most Nigerian youth that you come across today is that they want to travel out of the country.
All this is down to the fact that we failed to plan in the first place. I mean, it seemed as if we became very static. You remember you mentioned the Buharis, the Babangidas, and how they were able to, you know, reach the peak of their potentials. But apparently, taking over from there, I mean, we're just not forward looking at all. And, you know, when you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And unfortunately, we have actually failed our young ones, because I'm very sure, I mean, the government successively was not planning for the future.
And still not planning.
Still not planning.
Okay, we have to move on, guys. We have very limited time. Let's quickly look at the Vanguard newspaper. Sorry about that. It still leads with a Buhari story, but at the top there, Nigeria reaches 79.65% teledensity, a 48.81% broadband penetration. Then port security, NEMASA shuts 2 facilities for non-compliance. We'll also see the Punch. I think we have the Punch here. Do we? Yes. Shocking surge. Electricity subsidy jumps 220% to 2 trillion naira. It also has that story on NEMASA. Let's move on to the international headlines quickly. Here, what do we have? Daily graphic. Do we have daily graphic? I think that I'm a bit lost here. Do we have daily graphic there? Yes. Over 227. No, is that today's paper? No, it's not today's paper. Is it? Okay, let's move on to another paper, the Financial Times. Do we have the Financial Times? Brussels pushes schools to serve up made in Europe fruit and vegetables. Is that today's paper?
Today's paper has Eye of the Storm in the Financial Times, with White House attacks on Powell triggers fears over independence of central bank. Okay, great. Go on. Any comments on that from anybody?
Trump is just being Trump. He fights anybody that doesn't agree with him. So he falls. It's a pattern, you know, and it has to do with the rate. He has always campaigned on the basis that rates should be lowered, but the Federal Reserve, the head of the Federal Reserve in the United States, has stood his ground and asserted his independence. So it is what it is. It is what Trump knows how to do better: attack you, blackmail you in order for you to submit to his whims and caprices.
Right. And even insult you. Yesterday he called Chair Jerome Powell a knucklehead. That was very bad.
But well, Powell says he definitely will not buckle and he'll serve out his tenure, whatever Trump says.
Won't bother him.
And that's even, you know, coming from Pam Bondi's own firings at the Justice Department. So finally, let's look at the Daily Telegraph. Votes at 16 as Starmer panics over reform. Metro.co.uk also has it. It casts it a bit differently. Children aged 16 and 17 will get the vote. Starmer's new generation. This means that 1.5 million teens will get their say in the next Prime Minister vote in 2029. Opposition figure Nigel Farage says this will not save Labour. He says that young people are not joining the Labour Party. This is new, and any comments on this? It's said to be the biggest shake-up, actually, in terms of votes in the UK since 1969.
I think I agree with this very much. I like the play on words where they mention that it's children, because they're trying to put that thought in your mind. But at the same time, if you're old enough to work and you're old enough to pay taxes, then I guess you're old enough to have your say.
But you're not old enough to drink alcohol.
That's a good one. Okay, we'll have to leave it there. Dr. Austin Maho, lecturer at the International Institute of Journalism in Abuja. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Dr. Constance, for running today's newspaper review. Go enjoy your weekend. That's all we have time for here on Daybreak. I'm Charles Eruka. It's goodbye from me.
And I'm Yolanda Robert. Please do keep it here on Arise News. The morning show is next. Bye-bye.